Good morning students. Today we are going to learn about migration. There are many factors of migration. First one is natural causes of migration, economic causes of migration, socio and cultural causes of migration, demographic causes of migration, political causes of migration. Now there are many types of migration also. They are internal migration, rural to rural migration, rural to urban migration, urban to urban migration. Now we are going to learn about willingness of migration.
Migration is a complex phenomenon where macro, meso, and micro factors act together to inform the final individual decision to migrate, integrating the simpler previous push-pull theory. Among the macro factors, the political, demographic, socio-economic and environmental situations are major contributor of migration. Among the macro factors, the inadequate human and economic development of the origin country, demographic increase and urbanization, wars and dictatorship, social factors and environmental changes are the major contributor of migration. Based on the willingness of migrants for migration. First one is voluntary migration. If the migration take place on persons' free will, initiatives and desire to live in a better place and to improve their financial status, the migration is said to be voluntary migration. Next we have to see about involuntary migration. If the migration take place against the will of migrants, the migration is termed as involuntary migration. The push factors like war may force the people to emigrate from a place is of this type. Next one is based on the duration of stay of migrants in the place of destination. Short-term migration. In this kind of migration, the migrants stay outside only for a short duration before returning to the place of origin. The duration may be from a few days to few months. Second one is long-term migration. It is a kind of migration in which the migrants stay outside at least for a few years. Third one is seasonal migration. In this type of migration, usually a group of people migrants from their native place during a particular season and returns after the end of that season. People migrating to hill station during summer and the migration of agriculture workers during sowing seasons belong to this category. Transhumance is another example of seasonal migration. Next one is international migration. International migration occurs when people cross state boundaries and stay in the host state for some minimum length of time. Migration occurs for many reasons. Many people leave their home countries in order to look for economic opportunities in another country. Others migrate to be with family members who have migrated or because of political conditions in their countries. Education is another reason for international migration as students pursue their studies abroad. It is universally observed that the propensity for international migration is strongest among young adults. Other differentials in migration tend to be limited to particular cultures or locals because the highest propensity for international migration is among young adults The contribution of international migration to population change is often considerably greater than the net international migration itself. Next one is consequences of migration. Migration affects both the areas of origin of migration and the areas of destination. The following are the major consequences of migration. First one is demographic consequences. It changes age and sex composition of population. Migration of females after their marriage leads to decline in sex ratio in the source of regions and increase the sex ratio in the regions of destinations. The migration of male workers in search of jobs decrease the independent population of source region, which increase the independency ratio. Next, we have to learn about social consequences. The migration of people from different regions towards an urban areas leads to the formation of plural society. It helps the people to come out of narrow-mindedness and people become generous. The social effects of internal migration, particularly rural to urban, on both the source rural and destination urban need to be seen. There are conflicting views where one view is that migration adversely affects the welfare of the source areas because of increasing rural to urban migration in spite of rising urban unemployment, increasing environmental problems, overgrowing of population, and the shortage of urban amenities. Although the available urban opportunities and the rising wage levels in urban areas continue to be main source of attraction for the migrants, the urban problems and the problems of shortage of labor in rural areas are aggravated more by the accelerating rural to urban migration. Next one is economic consequences. The migration of more people from overpopulated to underpopulated regions result the imbalance of the resource population ratio. In some cases, the regions of over and underpopulation may become the regions of optimum population. Migration may influence the occupational structure of the population of an area. Though it will certainly affect the economy of the regions also. Brain drain is consequences of migration. Brain drain refers to the migration in which skilled people from economically backward countries move to developed countries in search of better opportunities. Eventually, this leads to backwardness in source region. This is called blackwash effect. Last one is environmental consequences. Large scale movement of people from rural to urban areas causes overcrowding in cities and puts heavy pressure on resources. It leads to rapid growth in cities. The overpopulation in urban areas lead to the population of air, water, and soil, scarcity of drinking water, lack of space for housing, traffic congestions, and poor drainage are the common environmental problem prevail in urban areas. The lack of space for housing and rising of land cost lead to the formation of slums. Thank you, students.